Hey everybody, Jem Schofield of the C47 and another episode of Gearbox 2.0. In this episode, we're going to go from this to this, so let's get started. So just a quick note about this episode, it's going to be VO from here on out because I don't have a lot of time. I've shot the stuff inside of this room and I'll break it all down for you guys. So here we go. So I walked into this conference lounge, aptly named the 70's room, and I said to myself, I've got to shoot something in here. So I started to clear out the room from the way it was set up for the training that I'm going to be doing inside of there to get the chairs and stuff out of the way. And then I set a chair and found a lamp that I thought would work well if I was shooting into that right side of the room with the cabinet. Also had to run power to that lamp, so I wanted to make sure I embraced those different color temperatures overall. And then it was time to start to walk that camera over, but lo and behold, I panned the camera left and took a look at something and realized that was the frame. And this happens sometimes when you're in production, and I thought this would be far more interesting, so I set the chair in a different position inside of the room, and then once that was decided, it was time to start building out what I was doing. So this is the Illuminator Arm Extreme from WESTCOTT. It's designed to hold small to large reflectors, and I'm going to be using the 6-in-1 Illuminator Reflector. That's the center of it, so that's just a one-stop diffusion. And that's, of course, going to become my key source. And then I'm setting up the bicolor flex light, which is the 1x1, and putting the diffusion in front of it. And then just turning that on and making it as warm as possible for obvious reasons in the room and the way the color temperatures are, so that's set to 2800 Kelvin. And then start to take a look at what that frame looks like. Now this actually in the end turned out to be my favorite frame, and I really like the way it looks, but the lens I had only opened up to an f4 on the long end. It was an 18-55 on the X-T3. But again, I think going back to it, this would be the frame that I would work around, especially if I had a faster lens, but I didn't. So I started to make some adjustments to the background elements, thinking about a tighter frame, and I also actually moved some of the furniture around inside of the room. And then I started to tweak. So I have the fill over on the right-hand side. I'm setting my diffuser to a more side key. That sunlight fill is just to get some return from the key, moving that out of frame. So this is the tighter frame overall that I'm basically looking at as I'm looking at the monitor. And then the end result, something sort of like this, like to get that reflection away from just above my head, but so be it. And then this is just to take a look at it with no fill at all. So that's obviously a lot going on in terms of contrast ratio, back to the fill being inside of there. And then just for reference here, a slightly tighter frame so you can see what the lights are doing a little bit more overall, and also the fact that I probably shouldn't be drinking as much beer as I do. So there you have it. That's another episode of Gearbox 2.0. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out the links below the fold, and I'll see you guys next time on Gearbox.